Anything positive that Aaron Rodgers does this year with the Steelers, if he gets to the playoffs, is gravy. Because after 2 disastrous seasons with the Jets, the one way he can walk off into the sunset with his head held high is to make it to the playoffs. Let's show that the Jets' tenure was an aberration. 5-12 last year, his worst season as a full-time starter. That was a fluke. That's the Jets being the Jets. Now I'm with the Steelers, and I'm not going to be 5-12. I got a better chance of being 12-5. We'll see. Met with reporters yesterday after his first training camp practice, and he said that there are 6 or 8 teams that really have a chance to win the Super Bowl, maybe 10 or 12, and we're in that window of the 10 or 12. And we did this exercise earlier this month. Who are the teams that are really in the Super Bowl window? In the AFC, the powerhouse teams are the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, the Texans. They made it to the final 8 2 straight years. The Bengals, assuming they can get their act together early in the season. That's 5 right there. Oh, and the Chargers and Broncos looked pretty good last year too. That's 7. Where do the Steelers fit? We looked at the teams in the NFC as well. Eagles, Lions, Rams, 49ers, Buccaneers. That's 5 right there. We're up to 11. 11? Is that 11 or 12? Packers, Vikings, Washington. I forgot about Washington. Look, if the Steelers are one of the top 10 or 12 teams heading into this year, it's number 12. If they even get a seat at the table, they're number 12. I'm not sure they are. And then the question becomes, if you are one of the 12, how do you get to the top of the mountain? And Rodgers had this cliched response about, it's about all the time we spend together in practice, the 17 practices, and in the lunchroom, and when we're having a snack, and how we interact, and yada, yada. And as he was saying that, he did one of his classic little asides where he made this comment about Mike Tomlin wanting to practice at the hottest time of the day. And that's interesting. And that's Aaron Rodgers' way of saying, I don't agree with that. Well, that's interesting, but I love it. Yeah, you got no choice. Mike wants to practice the hottest time of the day. That's interesting. And he laughed as he said it. But, my point is very simple. And I try to dabble in simple points because my aging and relaxed brain can only deal with simple points. If all these things about how you interact on the field, in the locker room, while you're eating, while you're having a snack, whatever, if all those things help determine the climb from 12 to 1, if you've got a quarterback who is saying anything that suggests directly or indirectly, expressly or implicitly, that he's not fully on board with what the coach is doing, that can be a detriment. And it's never going to be a straight line, but that can be a detriment. And we're already seeing it. And yes, I look for it because we've seen it from Aaron Rodgers. He thinks because he's been in the NFL for as long as he has, he's got some greater license to say whatever he wants, to believe whatever he wants, to give whatever input he wants, to act basically like a co-manager, a co-coach. But there are certain things you just don't do. And I don't think he understands that. You don't start questioning the methods of Mike Tomlin in your first training camp press conference. Oh, he likes to practice at the hottest time of the day. Well, that's interesting. No, it's not. It's mandatory. And that's what the coach wants. There's nothing interesting about it. It's what you do. Zero fun, sir. That's how he needs to be behaving because the teammates are going to be watching him. Is he really all in? That's the question. You either want to be a Steeler or you don't. Okay, he wanted to be a Steeler. He's here. Is he acting like a Steeler or is he not? That's the question. Russell Wilson say last year, gee, Mike Tomlin likes to practice at the hottest time of the day. That's interesting. Did Justin Fields say it? Kenny Pickett say it? Ben Roethlisberger, I don't know. He said some things on radio late in his career. Not late in his career, middle of his career. He finally stopped doing the radio spot. Everything Rodgers says is going to be scrutinized. That's why I've been saying he shouldn't do McAfee's show. And it's nothing against Pat. It doesn't help Rodgers in what he's trying to achieve. You want to be one of the 12 teams that are in the Super Bowl window? Focus only on football. Watch everything you say. Don't be passive aggressive. Don't act like the smartest guy in the room. Just focus on playing football. It's pretty simple. It really is. I just don't know that he sees it. I don't know that he cares. I think he's evolved past the things that otherwise would apply to football players. And we'll see if this laboratory experiment works in Pittsburgh this year. I don't think they're one of the 10 or 12 teams heading into the season, but they can play their way into it. Every team can play their way into it. I'm not going to write anyone off. I was on with Joe Rose earlier today, and we were just talking generally about, which teams can you write off? You can't write any off. I learned the hard way 2021. The Bengals have no chance to make the playoffs, and they almost won the Super Bowl. 2023, the Texans have no chance to make the playoffs. They make it to the final 8. Any team has a chance, because if you can get out of the gates and win a couple of games and build some confidence, the next thing you know, you're in it. And the difference between the best teams and the worst teams is, from a talent standpoint, not what it used to be. Now, we have seen some teams that have cracked the code, which makes the league top heavy. But at the bottom end, any of those teams, think of the worst team right now in the NFL, whichever team you would call the worst, that team has a chance to build enough momentum early, build some confidence, get some wins, and steal a playoff spot. Doesn't mean they're going to win the Super Bowl. But I'm not writing off anyone. And I'm not writing off the Steelers from being a playoff team. I think they're capable of being on the right side of 500. The question is, how good can they be? Are they in that window? And if they are in that window, can they really beat the Chiefs? Can they really beat the Bills? Do they have a shot in the postseason against the Ravens? Hey, the Texans in 2023, the year they had no chance to make it to the playoffs, in my opinion. Pittsburgh went down there early in the year and got their asses kicked by the Texans. So I know a lot's changed since then, but in today's NFL, these great teams come together and they figure things out and they stay great. And yes, having a great quarterback is the key. How great is Aaron Rodgers going to be? We shall see. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.